What's up, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Shane Wilson. And before we get into the episode, I just want to say, I know it's been like a month since I've put out a YouTube video. I try to be as consistent as I can, but obviously I have a full-time job, I have a full-time baby, and I have a full-time wife. So those are my priorities over this, unfortunately, as well as something that's been taking priority over this is my blog, which, if you don't know, is called Showtime with Shane, and I just discuss movies on that. I do movie reviews, movie lists, and then just some other random stuff on there. And it's easier for me to sit down and write a post for my blog than it is for me to record a YouTube video. I mean, just in all honesty, I think that would make sense. I can do it on my lunch break at work. I can do it if Ryder's taking a nap. I can do it late at night when Destiny and I are before we go to bed. It's just easier than coming in here and recording a YouTube video. But I do still plan to record YouTube videos. It's just a little harder to find the time to do so. I have a series that's going to be coming out. I think this is going to come out before the first episode of that. Maybe not. If not, the series will still be coming out, where I'm going to be doing a fan cast for Harry Potter, the new series they have coming out on Max, but we can get into that on that. This is episode 16 of a series that I've been doing where I am reviewing the top 10 favorite movies of people in my life, friends, family. And in this episode, I'm going to be reviewing the top 10 favorite movies of my good friend, Kyle Major. Kyle and I met through our wives, my wife, Destiny, and his wife, Mia. They've been friends for a very long time in high school, through church. And so Kyle and I were connected through that, and now he and I are good buddies. We like to chat about movies, professional wrestling, and I'll be reviewing Mia's movies in the next episode. I have one left, 13 going on 30. I have seen it before, but I want to watch it again so I can give it a proper score. I don't want to just based off of when I saw it 6 years ago or however long ago I saw that movie. I want to rewatch it. So that'll be coming out somewhat soon as well. Kyle and Mia, they're Destiny and I's best couple friends because Kyle and I get along so well, and Mia and Destiny get along so well, and we all get along so well with each other. So we love them, love spending time with them. And so now I'm just going to be reviewing Kyle's movies. Before we get into his top 10, he has some honorable mentions that I want to honorably mention here, and those are Paddington 1 and 2. So I watched both. I've been watching honorable mentions recently as well, just because I like watching movies. So I actually hadn't seen the Paddington movies. I enjoyed both of them, and the third one is coming out very soon, and I probably won't go see it in theaters because, like I said, full-time job, full-time wife, full-time baby. But I will probably see it when it comes out on streaming, Paddington in Peru, so I'm excited for that. And his other honorable mention was The Batman. Since he has the in there, I assume that means the Matt Reeves version starring Robert Pattinson that came out just a few years ago. That one was on my good friend Edmund's list, and I reviewed that one. So if you're curious what my review is, go click on reviewing Edmund's top 10 favorite movies, and you can see the review for The Batman. Now let's get into Kyle's list. We're going to start out with two movies that he had that I have actually reviewed in other videos. And those are 500 Days of Summer, which is a repeat from my friend Aaron Tran's list. It's a good rom-com. It breaks those classic rom-com tropes, that are found in pretty much every movie of the genre. I like those tropes, right? I like rom-coms. They're good comfort movies. But I really like what this movie did, changing it up. I guess the poster is going to be right here, so I should say this movie, not gesture towards my laptop, because that just looks weird. Right here, the movie poster, as you can see. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. But I like that this movie breaks some of those tropes. It doesn't necessarily end maybe how you think it's going to end. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he does a really good job in this movie. He plays a good, flawed protagonist. He's not a perfect guy. He has, he wants love more than anything, but maybe he does. He goes about it in the wrong way. He tries to force it, but he's a flawed protagonist. But he's relatable, in that sense. He's not just this perfect, super charming, super good-looking dude. No offense to him. I don't mean that as an insult. It's just a change of pace. It has a very, very good ending where it transitions from summer to autumn. I really like how it goes back down from 500 to 1. The non-linear structure, I think, is a great stylistic choice. Or let me not say, it's non-linear structure. I think it's a great stylistic choice. I enjoy this movie. I'm going to give it, and this is what I gave it in the last video that I reviewed it in, a 9 out of 10. Next up, we have La La Land. This is La La Land's fourth time appearing, which may be a record, I think. I don't know. I don't really keep track of that, but I'm pretty sure it might be. It was on my sister-in-law Olivia's list, which was the first time I talked about it. Then it was on both my good friends Hayden and Dalen, who are roommates, so I imagine they spend a lot of time just cuddling on the couch watching La La Land. And then now it's on Kyle's list. And I've talked about it many times. So I'll keep this somewhat brief. I used to not like it the first time I saw it. Then I rewatched it. Now I really enjoy it. Ryan Gosling is fantastic, one of my favorite actors. He's so charismatic, so good. Emma Stone is one of the best actresses of the 21st century, so of course she's great. The music is fun. The choreography is so good. Me saying that as someone who, my whole knowledge of choreography comes from me watching Dancing with the Stars, which, just started up again. I'm rooting for Steven Nadarosik. Anyways, 8 out of 10 for La La Land. Next up we have Halloween, which is just a very good classic horror film. I personally am not a big horror guy. It's just not, if you ask me what my least favorite genre of film was, I would probably say horror, just because I have a hard time with them. Especially, there's certain ones I avoid, just ghosts and paranormal things, demonic stuff. I'll try to avoid stuff like that. And sometimes I just think they're cheesy and predictable. However, let me say, this is a good movie. It has a great film score that perfectly complements everything that's happening in the movie. That was my main takeaway. If I were doing a review of it on my blog that I'm plugging again, linked down below, I'd do a review, a high and a low. My high would 100% be the score. It is fantastic. Now, I feel like because of all the similar movies that have come out in this genre after Halloween, and even all the sequels of Halloween, that maybe it feels a little tired and stale because they're all so similar. But I do want to I need to remember that this was the first. This was the first of its kind, right? So John Carpenter's direction is also very good in this movie. I enjoyed that. I would give Halloween a 7.5 out of 10. Sorry, I lost my spot on my page here. Anyways, next up is Speed, which I feel like I should just get this out of the way. I don't like Keanu Reeves. I'm a hater, apparently, because I was working on a list for my blog of top 10 popular actors that I'm not a fan of. I could only come up with 2, and one of them was Keanu Reeves. So that list will not be coming out soon because I'm having a hard time thinking of people, and you can't Google actors I don't like because that's just not how it works. Normally I'll go to Google for some inspiration, but that wasn't working. Anyways, this is one of my more favorite of his films. I would say so far of his movies that I've watched, I'm not a fan of The Matrix. I actually haven't seen John Wick. I know those are some of his big ones. I watched Point Break a long time ago. But my favorite movie of his is actually Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which was on my brother-in-law Grant's list. But I'd say this is definitely up there as one of my favorites of his as well. This and Toy Story 4, where he plays Duke Kaboom. What you know about that? Anyways, Dennis Hopper is great. He plays a villain that is incredibly ominous for just being like a vengeful, angry dude, like a normal dude, except he's pissed off and he's deranged. But 8 out of 10 for Speed. I enjoyed it. Next up, we have a Goofy movie. This is one of Disney's most underrated outings to me. I feel like this movie doesn't get talked about very much, and maybe that's because it's so sad. It's not really actually a sad movie, but it makes me so sad, especially, I've talked about this before, now that I'm a dad, watching some movies, it just like, the outlook I have on them is completely different. Like, Goofy, that guy is the best. He's such a good, loving dad. And I know he's a little bit of a dunce. I know he's a little, forgive the pun, goofy. But he's just such a good dad, and he cares so much. And Max is just so frustrating to me. He just really infuriates me in this. But I understand that he's just a teenager, right? And it's realistic. It's realistic to the father-son relationship. I personally haven't had a single father and son relationship, but I have a feeling this may be somewhat realistic, with the dad having to play both roles, maybe getting a little overprotective and too involved. Jason Marsden does great voice work as Max. I really enjoy his performance. The concert at the end with Powerline, me doing the moves, the dance moves. Powerline and his song are one of those things in an animated movie that just go stupid hard for no reason. The character design of Powerline is so cool. He's such a cool looking dude. Anyways, 8 out of 10 for a Goofy movie. Next up, we have Napoleon Dynamite. So, this is an iconic movie. There's so many things synonymous with this film that like you hear these things, or I hear these things, see the things, I think of Napoleon Dynamite. Tetherball, tater tots, school elections. There's so many good examples of visual comedy, physical comedy, spoken comedy, obviously. When he's riding on the bike and the ramp just breaks, that's hilarious. I love that this movie is kind of just like, it's a story, but it's kind of just like a series of gags, and I think that's fun. I enjoy that. I something that I realized while watching this movie that I didn't like, not about the movie, just life. So you see I have this mustache right here. You know, typically I'll have the goatee as well, but I've been rocking just the mustache for a couple months now. I originally, when I first did the mustache last year, it was, Miles Teller and Top Gun was the inspiration for that. But watching this movie, I realized that I look more like Kip from Napoleon Dynamite with my mustache. So there's that. That's really, demoralizing. Anyways, that's not going to make me dislike the movie, though. 9 out of 10. So next we have Birdman, or an unexpected... Oh, I just forgot what it's called. I didn't have the whole thing typed out, but I was going to go for it. I think it's the unexpected ignorance of virtue, or the unexpected virtue of ignorance. Dang it, I had it flipped. Birdman, or, parentheses, the unexpected virtue of ignorance. We'll just call it Birdman. So I am about to look like such a bad cinephile here on these next two, because I didn't really like this movie. I love the Oscars. I really look forward to them. The last couple of years, I've devoted time to them. I watch all the well, the first year I didn't, but the second year I did. I watched all the movies that are nominated that I could. I think they're a great tool for measuring films. I think that they're fun. I enjoy them. They're like, you can make fun of me if you want. I like sports, but I look more forward to the Oscars than I do like the Super Bowl or anything else, just because I love movies so much. But that doesn't mean I'm going to like a movie just because it won some Oscars, right? This is an example of that. I just couldn't get into this movie. Michael Keaton was good. I think overall, he is such an underrated actor. And I think that he was good in this movie. I think the supporting cast was good in this movie. I don't know if it was just too slow for me or what. Like, a movie doesn't need to be fast for me to enjoy it. But I don't know I don't know what it was about this movie. I just am not sure, but I couldn't get into it. And so I'm going to have to give it a 4 out of 10. I know. I'm getting boos right now. I can hear you booing me through your screen. Next up, we have another one that's going to catch me probably even more flack. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. So I understand why this movie is so beloved and highly acclaimed. I believe it was on Aaron Tran's list as well, so I think it's been reviewed before. But there are just many aspects of it that I can appreciate, I think the performances, specifically Ke Huy Quan, is a great performance that I enjoy. Stephanie Hsu's performance is great. I don't think Jamie Lee Curtis's performance was actually that good, even though she won an Oscar for it. Michelle Yeoh's performance is great. Now that I'm reading this, I actually don't know if this was on anyone else's list before. Anyways, I don't love this movie. I think it's just too weird for me. I think the story is compelling. I think they do a good job with a multiverse story, but there's just too many things where I'm like, that's a weird choice. But I understand why people like it, but I just couldn't. and it's a 5.5 out of 10, which is still, I feel like for a Shane 7 is like a normal person 5, so Shane 5 feels really low, but like in my head, it's like that's middle of the road, a 5.5, like slightly above, but 5.5 out of 10. I'm sorry. I know. Next up, we have Young Frankenstein. So if you've seen this movie, good for you. If you haven't, okay, good for you, I guess. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but I want you to think about the fact this movie came out about 50 years ago, maybe over 50 years ago. Taking that into account, the comedy has aged really well. And I don't mean the fact of like, I feel like when people say, oh, that hasn't aged well, they mean like it's offensive and stuff now. I mean like it's still funny. Like the movie Airplane. That was one I watched on this for this poster right here, which I actually think a movie poster may be covering. No, you should be able to see this. A movie poster right here. I watched Airplane that was somewhere on this poster here. Didn't like it. Didn't think that the comedy had aged very well. Didn't think it was funny. Young Frankenstein, on the other hand, I thought it aged pretty well. I thought it was pretty funny. It's not typically the case for the movies like that. I thought the character of Igor was very funny. I thought that Gene Hackman's cameo was pretty funny. I thought that when he said, "My name is Frankenstein," after the whole Frankenstein bit that was ongoing, that was good. That was a good payoff, good moment. I think, and this was actually on a blog post that's not out yet that I wrote, though, of the top 10 closing lines in movies. I think that her asking, well, what did you get from him? That, if you've seen the movie, that's the ending line of the movie. If you haven't, go read my blog post. I talk about it a little more when that comes out, but like maybe look it up. I don't know. That had me cracking up as the film ended, which is what you want from a comedy. 7.5 out of 10. Next up, we have I have on here Little Woman, but it's plural. Little Women. My surprise of the list, but actually, I don't think I was surprised by this. I had a feeling I would like it. I'm going to say this real quick because I don't want the focus of me discussing this movie being a man, because it's not about the men, but I love Timothée Chalamet and I love him in this movie. Anyways, now on to the Little Women themselves. This is just a funny observation that I made, that it's 4 non-American actresses in Saoirse Ronan, who is Irish, even though she was born in America, but she was raised in Ireland, and if you hear her, she's Irish. Emma Watson and Florence Pugh are both English, and then Eliza Scanlon is Australian. I just think that's funny. That's just an observation I made while watching. I was like, hold on. I don't think any of these women are American. The supporting ensemble is very good. You got Laura Dern, Meryl Streep, Tracy Letts. You got Chris Cooper, who I really enjoyed. And then Bob Odenkirk just unexpectedly popped up halfway through, so that's cool. Overall, great movie that I'm sure... similar to like the movie Barbie, both Greta Gerwig, I'm sure it's more relatable if you're a woman. I mean, I'm not going to speculate, but I would assume. I know Barbie is because I've heard that from other women, including my wife. But I even found it relatable as a man, just about finding your place in the world and breaking societal norms. Again, I understand that it is probably 100 times more so as a woman, but I'm just saying I still can appreciate it and relate slightly to it. Just that side of it. Anyways, great movie, 9.5 out of 10, which brings Kyle's total to a 76 out of 100, which I think is pretty good, especially for the fact that he had 2 movies that didn't do great with those two best picture winners that he had in there that I couldn't rate good. Excuse me. 76 is not bad. It's definitely on the lower end of my like all-time ranking, but that's because a lot of people have just done a lot higher. Like my immediate family had a lot of the same movies that I would have, so that helped. And anyways, 76 out of 100. And so that is my list. That's Kyle's list. That's my reviews of those movies. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode where I review Mrs. Mia Major's movies. That's 4 M's in a row right there. That's what we call an alliteration. And now stay tuned for the casting videos that I was talking about earlier, because those will probably be coming out next if they're not coming out already. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.